prices online. Gusto does it better. Payroll for small businesses that's simple, automated, and all online. You can try it for free so you know exactly how it works and compare honest, clear prices, starting at just $45 a month. No wonder.
And whatever comes our way, yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a loving embrace. Fire all of the guns and explode into space. I like smoking lightning, heavy metal thunder, racing with the wind, and the feeling that I'm under. Yeah, darling, go Someone who needs me, someone I needed so long. For once unafraid, I can go where life leads me. Somehow I know I'll be strong. For once I can touch what my heart used to dream of long before I knew. Oh, someone warm like you would make my dream come true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For once in my life, I won't let sorrow hurt me, not like it's hurt me before. For once I have something I know won't desert me. I'm not alone anymore. For once I can say, this is mine, you can't take it. Long as I know I have love, I can make it. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me. Someone who needs me. Hey, yeah. Someone who needs me. Oh, they love me. For once in my life. Sorrow hurt me, not like it's hurt me before. For once I have something I know won't desert me. I'm not alone anymore. For once I can say, this is mine, you can't take it. Long as I know I have love, I can make it. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me. For once in my life, yeah, somebody that needs me. Oh, baby, for once in my life.
When I think about the good love you gave me, I cry like a baby. Living without you is driving me crazy. I cry like a baby. I know now that you're not a plaything, not a toy or a puppet on a string. As I look back on a love so sweet now, I cry like a baby. Every road is a lonely street, I cry like a baby. I know now that you're not a plaything, not a toy or a puppet on a string. Today we passed on the street, you just walked on by. My heart just fell to my feet, and once again I began to When I think about the good love you gave me, I cry like a baby. Living without you is driving me crazy. I cry like a baby.
Little things, check them off your list. Cards and lights and ornaments, just dash to CVS. Dash in for every little thing you need this holiday, like a $10 CVS cash card, yours when you spend $30 on select items. Restrictions apply. See circular for details.
Ah, the holidays. At BMW, we want to remind you of some excuses to enjoy the ride home a little longer. If you're in the all-new BMW X5 with the upgraded navigation within iDrive 7.0, consider the detour excuse.
Hey, Dad, ran into construction. Gotta take a detour.
Make the most of the road home. Hurry in to the BMW Road Home sales event to receive exceptional offers on select models now through November 30th. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Brought to you by your Austin BMW centers.
Green Book is the feel-good movie of the year.
I'm a musician about to embark on a concert tour.
I got no problem being on the road with you, but I ain't no butler.
Critics rave. Academy Award nominee Viggo Mortensen and Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali are brilliant in a rare gem of a film that is wildly crowd-pleasing.
This is the best fried chicken I ever had. Come on, take it, eat it.
Do you have plates or utensils?
Eat it with your hands. I got dry.
Green Book, inspired by a true friendship. Rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13 this Thanksgiving.
afraid of what I might have on my mind. One thing you can be sure of, I'll take good care of your love if you will let me give you mine. Lady, willpower, it's now or never. Give your love to me and I'll shower your heart with tenderness endlessly. Did no one ever tell you the facts of life? Well, there's so much you have to learn, and I would gladly teach you if I could only reach you and get your love and in return. Lady, willpower, it's now or never. Give your love to me and I'll shower your heart Oh, I wake up in the morning with my hair down in my eyes, and she says,
There's 2 tables back here. We just need to pull some chairs out. Are we ready? All right, good morning, everyone. Morning. First of all, for those that do not know, my name is Ronaldo Cavazos, Superintendent of Edcouch-Elsa ISD. This is the second part of our activity for today and the ceremony remembering the walkout of 1968. We did have an event a few minutes ago over at the old sales center, the sale program. There in the auditorium, we had several individuals that participated in that walkout that spoke and gave a little bit of background about who they were, how they participated, and the events that revolved around those issues back in 1968. Students, those of you that are here at Edcouch-Elsa High School, like I said earlier this morning, I think hopefully before we leave today, you'll have not only a better understanding, but a better appreciation for a lot of the efforts and a lot of the sacrifices that these individuals made to try to provide you with the best education possible. And they will talk to you in a little while. We're going to have a round table. We're going to be talking about some of the events that happened back then. But one of the things you're going to find out is what all of what the individuals all talked about was how important education was and the importance of taking advantage of those opportunities that you have today. A lot of opportunities that they didn't have back in the 1960s. And so you're going to hear a little bit about that today. They're going to talk about that. And we're going to first give them a present from Edcouch-Elsa High School. We're going to let them listen to our mariachi, Juvenil Azteca. They're going to perform. And after that, we're going to take a few minutes to set up, and then we're going to have a round table, okay? All right. So that being said, Mr. Garcia, thank you.
Please welcome our state champion, Edcouch-Elsa Mariachi Juvenil Azteca.
Mariachi Azteca, sí señor. Para cantarle Jalisco le pedí a mi corazón, le pedí a mi corazón que me ayudara un poquito pa' cantarle con amor, pa' cantarle con amor. Esa tierra querida yo te canto en este son, tierra de amor consentida, te lo dice el corazón, que si a tu lado me encuentro muy feliz me siento yo. Y si algún día yo me siento suspirando, por ti yo me voy. Guadalajara vengo, de Guadalajara soy. De Guadalajara vengo, de Guadalajara canto mi Veracruz, tu Huapango Resposón, ahí donde vi la luz y donde tengo mi amor, tierra de la Santa Cruz, donde la Virgen naciera, que viva mi Veracruz, la tierra más bullanguera. De cocollitos que son los ojos de mi morena, para quererlos
with state champion Mariachi Juvenil Azteca.
Okay, this is a note to the walkout participants. I think that in 1968, this is what you wanted. Yes. So, in so many ways, I think that this is like the realization, you know, of your vision and your courage. And Lali, I saw you both weeping and at the edge of your seat when you were enjoying this beautiful mariachi. Thank you very much. Bienvenidos a todos, Edcouch-Elsa High School. Welcome. Let's hear it for Edcouch-Elsa. Okay. My name is Francisco Guajardo. I'm from the Edcouch-Elsa class of 1983. And some of you here are here because Ofelia Garcia, my old classmate from Edcouch-Elsa High School, brought you. I think her name is Griffin now. So Ms. Griffin, thank you very much for bringing your history students. And anybody else here from the class of 83 Edcouch-Elsa? Uno que otro. Yeah, Nelda and some other people. Okay, as we move through the program here this morning, we have a lot to do this morning. We're going to hear from walkout participants, so we have a panel of participants who will tell their story. We will also hear from Edcouch-Elsa High School students who in some ways will be responding to the panelists, the walkout panelists. But everything will be kicked off by a keynote address by Lali Science, who is Edcouch-Elsa class of 65, who was really a key person in helping the students make sense of what they were going through. And so Lali Science Moreno will come up shortly. First, I would like to introduce a media platform organization in the Valley called Neta RGV. And so I'm going to bring up, or maybe just introduce Arnulfo and Frank Segovia. What am I doing here, Sefi? Just introducing the video? Is that what it is? Okay. So Neta RGV is actually in the process of producing a documentary on the Edcouch-Elsa High School walkout of 68. And so some of you may know about this because some of you have been interviewed, others will be interviewed. The team, the Neta RGV team actually flew to Denver, Colorado last week or 10 days ago or so to interview Javier Cavazos. So Javier Cavazos went from his ranch in, I think, Atwood, Kansas, up to Denver. Javier Ramirez, I'm sorry. Javier Ramirez, thank you. Javier Ramirez. And so Javier actually went to meet the Neta interviewers and sat down for an interview. So what we're going to see today, I think, is just a teaser of the full-blown documentary. So show the video, please.
This is the Rio Grande, which flows the length of the Rio Grande Valley. It is a lush valley of citrus groves, where Mexican Americans, attracted by the agriculture industry, outnumber the Anglo population.
We just wanted to graduate and get a job and go to college, but Vietnam was looming. It was there. It was always in the back of my head. The only way you were exempt from being drafted, that you go to college and you better be passing. Pero yes, there was a counselor in our school, and anybody you talk to from my class will tell you the same thing. A nosotros le decía, you guys go in the military. She wouldn't encourage anybody to go to college. Había unos cuantos teachers like that. And those were the teachers that the class that was coming up behind us, which was the class of 68. Eso ya estaban más exposed to it.
Mexican-American students at a school in the valley community of Edcouch have been demonstrating for what they say are their rights.
I remember very clearly that I wanted to go to college. And we would go, and we didn't know where to start. And she literally just said, "You're not college material. I can't help you."
People deny this, but she kind of lived on one side of town, and the white people lived on the other side of town. And that's how it was. Quite a few of us got together, and that's where we kind of decided that how we were going to proceed to do what we wanted to do, and that's where I think that was the first time that We actually drafted a list. Number one, that no disciplinary action be taken against any student or teacher that has taken part in this movement.
The school district expelled about 175 of the students after they staged a walkout.
It was in the DNA of that community to separate people. Social institutions, economic institutions, educational institutions would then follow suit to this DNA of the founding of the town.
On my opinion, they have always been pushing us, and I think it's time for us not to be pushed around so much.
I was a person that I would stand up for myself, I would defend myself. I walked out because I believe in what we were standing for.
Number 8, that as Chicano students, we be allowed to speak our mother tongue, Spanish, on school premises without being subjected to humiliating or unjust penalties.
Why is it very important to you that you be allowed to speak Spanish on the school grounds?
Well, that's our mother tongue, so I don't see why it should be taken away from us.
We were all advised, just walk. It might be on our favor and it might not be, but let's go for it.
It was pretty tense because we actually went to class first. And then at a certain hour, we said, this is when we're going to get up and we're going to leave.
I walked out because I believed in what they were doing. And the reason for the walkout was for us to speak our rights that we knew we didn't have. I remember just walking, chanting. We had posters.
And we could see in front of the high school, different teachers would come and stand up front just so they could make sure they got everybody's name that was out there on the picket line.
The Edcouch-Elsa High School walkout of 1968 was truly a historic moment in the history of civil rights and social change in the entire Rio Grande Valley.
Finally, that the blatant discrimination against the Mexican-American students in this school stop immediately. We demand justice.
The practice here has been one of domination, but the Mexican Americans say that day has ended, that they are on the move, that they will have a piece of the action.
So that's the trailer of the more full-blown documentary that'll be coming out soon. All right, so as we get the table set up for the first panel, which will go after the keynote, I want to thank musical director Cetal, Mr. Ferrer, and Mr. Garcia, Marco Garcia, Mario Ferrer, and Mr. Cetal for training the mariachi that you just saw. So a big round of applause to our mariachi teachers. Thank you very much. So Samantha, I'm going to call Samantha Herrera and Eduardo Martinez up to the stage, please, so that they can do a proper introduction of the walkout participants. I want to say that as Samantha comes up, Samantha is an Edcouch-Elsa graduate, so she's one of the movers and shakers with Neta.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning still. My name is Samantha Herrera. I'm a Edcouch-Elsa graduate of 2010. Yeah, go Jackets. Que viva la máquina. Today I work for one of the fastest growing media publications, independent media publications out of here, the Rio Grande Valley, along with my compañero Eduardo Martinez. We run an organization called Neta RGV, if you all would like to follow us. And our purpose is to make sure that we elevate the stories from the border, the stories from the Rio Grande Valley, and the stories that truly make us the people that we are today. And I think that there is no better example of what kind of people we are than a people that is resilient and a people that fight for dignity and that fight to make our voices heard. And so without further ado, I'd like the participants that are here with us today of the Edcouch-Elsa Walkout, if you could please stand up so that we may be able to recognize you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything that you all truly did. I know that we keep saying that throughout the morning, but your part of history has truly transformed what this school district looks like, what the experience of students today look like, and generations to come as well. And these are not all of the participants that participated that day, November 14, 50 years ago on this day. We have a list of students who also participated, who may not be with us today, but who are here with us in spirit. We had the very great opportunity of being able to interview one of the Walkout leaders, Javier Ramirez, who could not be with us here today. He is currently living in Kansas, but he sends everybody his saludos and best wishes and a call to action to seguir adelante, so that we're able to be a community that lives with dignity and that we are able to get the justice that we so well deserve. And so earlier today, the state of Texas issued a proclamation to honor these heroes of our community, and we're going to call that they may share that briefly.
Hello. And good morning. My name is Paco Sanchez. I'm the Legislative Director for State Representative Armando Mando Martinez. The representative apologizes for not being able to be here today with the upcoming session. He had some meetings in Austin, but he definitely wanted to extend his thanks to the participants of the walkout, and also his thanks to Representatives Oscar Longoria and Representative Terry Canales for their help on this. So a resolution was prepared in honor of the actions that you all took 50 years ago, and I'll go ahead and read it today. The State of Texas, a resolution whereas a celebration of the 50th anniversary of the historic Edcouch-Elsa walkout of 1968 is being hosted by the Edcouch-Elsa Independent School District on November 14, 2018, and whereas during the 1960s, Mexican-American students in the Rio Grande Valley were segregated into poorly equipped and poorly maintained schools, the students themselves were often suspended or even physically punished for speaking Spanish or for such minor infractions as not standing during a pep rally. In addition, students were discouraged by Anglo teachers and guidance counselors from applying for college and steered instead towards menial and low-paying jobs. And whereas on November 7th, 1968, the students of Edcouch-Elsa High School presented the administration with a list of 15 demands addressing these discriminatory practices as well as other issues. After the school's principal flippantly dismissed the list as a joke, more than 150 students stood up for dignity and the right to a proper education and walked out of the school on the morning of November 14th. Labeled as troublemakers, many students were suspended or expelled, and a few were arrested. And whereas, sponsored by the Center for Mexican American Studies at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley in association with NETA RGV and the South Texas Conjunto Association, the anniversary commemoration will start with a reenactment of the morning walkout at Edcouch-Elsa High School, followed by presentations, student performances, and the screening of a short documentary film. That evening, participants of the original walkout will be honored at Edcouch-Elsa's ISD Fine Arts Auditorium. And whereas the Edcouch-Elsa walkout was a significant milestone in the struggle for equality and justice in the Rio Grande Valley, and the brave men and women who took part are truly deserving of special recognition for the important role they played in the tumultuous history of the era. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the 50th anniversary of the Edcouch-Elsa walkout be commemorated, and that all those associated with the celebration at Edcouch-Elsa High School be extended sincere best wishes for a meaningful and memorable event. Signed by Armando Mando Martinez, State Representative, District 39. Thank you.
We'd also like to give thanks to the attorney that followed these students through their entire journey of what happened after. And all of you are going to be able to hear sort of the journey that they went through in a panel that we will have shortly. but we would also like to give a shout out to Mr. Bob Sanchez. I'm not sure where he's seated right now. Thank you. Now we'll be able to hear from Lali, if you'd like to come up here. One of the leaders who truly did everything that she could as a young migrant farm worker to support the children, the high school students who walked out November 14, 1968. Someone who we seldom hear in the history of the walkout and who we've luckily been able to get here. She's traveled all the way from California to be here with us to share a little bit about her journey with the 1968 walkout. I'd like to introduce Lali Moeno.
Thank you. Just a little bit more this way so we can see them. Yeah, it's too dark there. Okay, right there. Can you see us better here? Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm very happy to see all the students here today. My name's Lali Moeno. It used to be Lali Saenz from La Villa, Texas. Yeah, La Villa Cardinals. Okay. I was the sister of Fred Saenz, Alfredo Saenz. And Alfredo and Javier Ramirez and everybody else were friends. And at that time, I was already involved with other Latino groups. As a farm worker student, I was learning about farm worker rights. You know, that we had a right to health insurance, water, clean restrooms, little things like that none of us had. So I was already working with some of those issues when my brother Fred came home to La Villa one day, and he was very upset. And he said, can you help me? Because he was afraid of mother and father, because mother and father were they wouldn't let us stay home from school. We could not miss school. I pretended to be sick one day, and my father said, "Súbase al troque, ahorita me la llevo." And he brought me back to school. We were never allowed. So my brother was afraid to tell me what was wrong at the high school. So he told me, you have to come into the kitchen. So he told me, we're about to get expelled from Edcouch-Elsa High School because there was a whole bunch of us, and we were joking around in Spanish, and we were playing, and we were in the hallway of the school all playing in Spanish. And the counselor or somebody got on their case about something, and the students got upset, and there was all kinds of issues going on. So then I said, now wait a minute, let's talk about this. Can I talk to Javier? Can I talk to, there was another, I don't know if it was Eddie Gonzalez. Let's talk and see what happened here, because I know who to bring. I knew who to bring to help us with this situation. What we wanted first, we wanted to talk to the administration. We didn't want to walk out. We didn't know what a walkout was. I had read about them, and I had seen other schools do some of this in California and in Colorado. There were other states that were having walkouts, but we never intended to do that because we had no money, none of us. So first we said, we're going to talk to the principal about this. And the principal said, well, you have to talk to the superintendent, and there we go. The secretary wouldn't let us talk to the superintendent, and there we go. Finally, the superintendent came out and said, well, you know, I have to answer to school board, and you guys get out of here, you have nothing to tell me. Very upset, very not welcoming to us. And so that's how we started. The students, no one paid attention to their needs. No one talked to them about what were the issues. Nobody discussed anything with them. And so I already knew, because I had been a student here. I was here 4 years, and I was a farm worker. And for us farm worker students, there were some of us that came together. We were sent to the office on the first day that we were back from up north from working in the crops. We would get here late October, first week in November. We would get back from the crops. And we didn't miss that much school. I would count the weeks that we were out, like 7 weeks, 8 weeks, and we were automatically treated really differently. I got to ask, can I join the Spanish club? No. Can I join band? No, you cannot join band. Okay, can I go and talk to another group? No, everything was no to us. Only because I felt that we were the farm worker students coming in late. Can I make up my work? No, you cannot make up your work. So everything was no, no, no. So, our anger developed and our, anxiety and everything. So things just developed from there. And my job, as we met with the school board, I wrote the first list of demands. When the students were writing it today, I remember all of them. And I remember why each one was written. And I can give you examples. Like when we were talking about the discrimination, that no one gets that there's no retaliation of people involved because they were getting fired. Vaita Garza was fired. Vaita's sister and brother are here. And that's why we wrote that for her. And there were some people from the cafeteria who got fired, some staff, and there were other people who got fired. And we said, why? Why are they losing their jobs just because they're supporting us in talking to the administration? But they were fired. But that's why that demand was in there. We had a reason. We had a reason for every single one of them. We had a reason for the cultural education one. Why? Because you saw the mariachi today. It was very touching for me to see them because this would have never happened before. Having a mariachi here in front of the school. Never. It would have never happened. Now, we had somebody talked about our music this morning. We would have music sometimes in the cars. We would stay in the car to listen to music on the way to school. And we had to quiet. No, you cannot play your music. So anyway, there were reasons for this. So what happened today when you're here? You're going to hear you've been hearing from a lot of people as to what happened to the movement and to the strikers and to me and to everybody else. But the important thing for being here today is that you, the young students, are benefiting from the work that the people here in front did, from the work that the Mayo president who took over as we began to do our strikes, and Jesus Ramirez is here. He was, were you a junior or a sophomore in San Juan High School? When he was leading Mayo, and Jesus is here, one of our founders. So, all these things happened, okay? It can take days to finish all these talks. But the reason that it's very touching for us is because we were never welcomed back in this school again. I was not. I was not invited to any of the reunions of this school. For my class, there was a big homecoming event one time here, and everybody in my class got invited but me. Why? Because I was the one who called for help for the students, because I was the one who brought in Mayo, because I brought in Jose Angel Gutierrez, an educated leader out of St. Mary's University in San Antonio. We were not communists, we were not agitators. The people who were leading us, who were behind us, were educated Chicano, Mexicano, Latinos. All of them were educated. They knew what they were doing. And that was very hurting to me. And my brother Lupe and I were talking on the way here. I told Lupe, none of us here in the front, we didn't know a communist. We didn't know what an agitator was. We didn't know any of that. We were like you. We were high school students. We were working with our parents. We didn't know this, and we were called all kinds of names. And so I was blamed for a lot of stuff forever, for the last 50 years. But did I care? No. I went ahead and finished and got my master's degree. And now I'm a businesswoman with 2 corporations and 3 businesses. Okay? And I want you to know that, students, because some of the other students who were with us, the strikers this morning, said, they all made it. We all made it. Everybody here in front. We all got a nice family. We made it. Their kids are doing real well. Okay, despite what we were called. I mean, today's the first time I wear Edcouch-Elsa colors in 50 years. First time. And that's because of Mr. Cavazos, the superintendent of schools, who accepted that this activity takes place. So, to me, okay, students, this is very significant for us. Because remember, we were malos, we were the bad people for demanding the good education for you, for demanding the mariachis, for demanding everything else. Okay, we were bad people for that. So, Mr. Cavazos, thank you for inviting us. He brought us back, and today we're putting closure, right, guys, to our activity. We never knew whether, we would be welcome again, and we're welcome today. And we're welcome in front of you, students. In front of you. And I'm very proud that you students are listening to me and to everybody else this morning, because it was for you that we sacrificed so much, so much. I could never get a job here in the Valley. I could never get a job here. I wanted to come and work at Edcouch-Elsa High School. But are you kidding? I couldn't even drive by the high school. So here I am today, back. And nobody's gonna arrest me. I hope. Anyway, thank you all for coming. And I can be here forever. Okay, students? And our message to you today from all our speakers was that your education is the best thing you can do to beat everybody, to beat the odds. You gotta get your education. What happened when I got my master's degree? First I got a BA, and I got a job for about $40,000, $45,000 a year. Once I got my master's degree, I was making $20,000 more. Okay. Okay, so that's what you're gonna do. That's what we fought for, all of us, so that you could do that. And we expect you to do it. So thank you so much, and it's very emotional for me. If I stay here longer, I will start crying. But thank you so much, and I don't know what else I can tell you to, so.
So for those of you maybe who haven't, who didn't know this, the Edcouch-Elsa High School walkout of 1968 happened 50 years ago to the day. It happened on November 14th, 1968. So cuando dice Lali, we're putting closure to what we did 50 years ago. I think that's not only a beautiful thought, but that's also a thought that helps us to imagine what can we do in the next 50 years. So Lali, congratulations y felicidades. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, I would like to call out walkout participants to join us up here on the stage for a panel presentation. Mirtala Villarreal, Mari Lozano, Eddie Gonzalez, and Dalia Hernandez. If you all are still with us, pásenle por favor, por acá sí. So here's a setup to the participants. We have 2 microphones there. You can share the microphones there. So what we've asked them to do is to share their story with the community. I think that in many ways we're realizing today that these stories, number one, maybe haven't been told as much as they should para que aprenda la gente joven, pero también porque no habían sido aceptadas antes las historias. You know, they were seen as rabble rousers. They were seen as kids who were just, trying to do mischief, perhaps. But I think that what we learned with the morning session was that there was a tremendous amount of substance, a tremendous amount of authenticity, and a tremendous amount of courage. So, ¿quién quiere empezar? Mirtala, how about if you go first? You share your story, or Eddie, you want to go first? Okay, so if we can do this, if we can do maybe in about 5 to 7 minutes, because we know that if we just give you the microphone, you're going to talk the entire day. So, más o menos, we're going to ask you to self-regulate, but tell us your story, Eddie, about your role in the Walkout, and maybe even talk about, what's happened in the 50 years hence.
First of all, hello. Oh, there you go. Buenos días para todos. It's my pleasure to be here today. A very emotional day for me. Eddie Gonzalez. It happened 50 years ago. We were 16, 17, I guess the age of most of you. We thought we're on top of the world, and years go by, and one day you're going to realize the same thing that I realize now. At this stage, you're learning. You're just learning. You don't know it all. I didn't think that I was doing it for the future at the time. I really didn't. It's evident now that it did happen. At that time, I was thinking about me and mine. What we were seeing, what was happening. I went home one day, on this truth, know this, crying because of what I experienced in Edcouch-Elsa, and told my mother, I actually told my mother, why had I been born Mexican-American? I wanted to have been born an Anglo. My mother started crying. I guess in my own way I disrespected her. But that's what I thought that I needed to be able to have what I saw that they had. That's the ignorance in Eddie Gonzalez at the time. Since then, I've learned. And Edcouch-Elsa is my hometown. Edcouch-Elsa has been the home of my family forever. I still live in the same house that my parents brought me up in. One time I was asked, why do you live here? You can live anywhere you want to. My answer was quite simple. I'm living where I want to live. Okay? Bottom line. This is my town. This is my home. And as proud as all those that are in front with us today and right here, we all feel the same. Anyway, Edcouch-Elsa, yes, a lot of discrimination, yes. That's why we stood up. We stood up. Was there fear in my heart? Because I always thought I was a real brave guy. All right? Back then when hey, I'm Eddie Gonzalez, But can I share with you that day, that particular day, I knew when and how we're going to do it. My arms, my feet, my hairs were shaking. I was going into the unknown. All I knew was one thing. I had the support of my mother and my father. The night before the walkout, because my mother worked at Dickey's in Westlaco sewing. My dad told her, tomorrow you're not going to go work, you're going to go out and support Eddie. Believe me when I tell you this. Walking out, like I just said a while ago, shaking, afraid, everything that goes with it. All I could concentrate on was finding my mother in the parking lot. I couldn't think of anything. But here's the beauty. Here's the beauty to me. The minute I saw her, guess what happened? All those fears, all that shaking, all that not knowing, wow, it was gone. And then into action. And I'm sure that most of the ones that you will talk to them will share the same thing that I'm sharing. Because I can assure you, we were all afraid because it was the unknown. Today, I thank God that I did what I did. And all morning we've been talking about the different discriminations. I don't need to go into that. They were there. The only thing that me personally, speaking for myself, knowing what I know today and being able to go back, if I could, I would, if I could, change one thing. Only one. Instead of calling them demands, we should have picked a better word. Because just think about it. If anybody comes up to one of you, any of you there in here, and they tell you immediately, I demand this of you, what's going to happen? You're going to receive. That might have been a mistake that we made. But if it was, that's the only one that I can think of. Everything else that we did was for the righteous. And now I see how we were doing it for the future. But like I said before, when I first did it, it was for me and mine. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marisela Mari Lozano Rodriguez before I got married. I was an 8th grader when I walked out. Why did I walk out? And that question kept coming to my mind when I was being punished at home, when I was expelled for 2 weeks. I walked out because the night before the walkout, I heard my brother, which is gone, Ruben Rodriguez, talking to my mom and telling her about the walkout. And as I was washing dishes, I could hear their conversation. And my mom was agreeing with him with all these discriminations in school. But she wouldn't dare speak up or let us speak up. She was afraid of retaliation at work. You see, every job around Edcouch-Elsa was owned by white people. My mom had to have 3 different jobs to raise 8 of us. And she knew that if we were involved, she would immediately be let go. I kept hearing them, and then in back of my mind, I kept wondering and knowing that, yes, I was going through some. My family was going through some of those discriminations. So that morning, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my brother. Well, I did tell my brother Ruben, and he said, Carnala, dale gas. So guess what? La carnala le dio gas. And, I walked out. Boy, was I having a blast. No school, standing up for what I knew was right. And I could see the administrators going out there, taking names as to who was out there. And I knew I was going to get it when I got home. Well, I didn't have to get home. They called my mom. She literally came, took me by the ear, literally walked me into the office. And I remember today as if it was, it was just happening. I had to ask for forgiveness for walking out, even though I did not want to say that I was sorry because I wasn't sorry. But I was still expelled for 2 weeks. I was a cheerleader. They stripped me out of that. I had gotten football sweetheart. The principal told me, you do not deserve that after today. I was in student council. They removed me out of student council. You name it, I was stripped out of it. The humiliation came even worse when I had to go in front of the school board. And seeing my mom hurting, seeing my mom crying, because she knew that I stood for what was right. But she was crying out of fear that I was going to be sent to La Jolla. And I wasn't. I had to literally beg them to keep me here. I tell each and every one of you today, stand up for what you believe. Never, never let someone tell you that you cannot do it. I was told millions of times not even to look into going to school, college, because I was not college material. And I believed it. Do I regret it? Yes. You are college material. You can do it, and don't let anybody tell you differently. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dalia Hernandez, and I'll apologize ahead of time if I get too emotional because it is very hard to talk about this. I am a former member of the 1968 Edcouch-Elsa Walkout, and in my early elementary school years, I was probably too young to remember to even understand the unfairness, the discrimination, the racism, and everything else that went along with it. It wasn't until I entered my junior high years that all the experiences from my elementary years started kicking in, and I started to record memories of everything that I had actually gone through. Starting in 3rd grade, when I was shaken, I would take out, and my teacher would shake my body, my whole body. I always wore a little headband. It would roll inside the classroom, and the students would laugh. And this was all because I spoke Spanish. I'm proud to say that I have a beautiful penmanship because I was constantly writing lines. I would write lines that would say, I will not talk in Spanish. I will not talk in Spanish. I will not talk in Spanish. I would write 100 lines almost every day because I continued to talk in Spanish. Then in 5th grade, I was spanked. I received 5 paddlings, not 1, but 5, one after another, only because I couldn't pronounce a word. We had our teachers stand us in front of the classroom and reading a paragraph. We'd take turns reading a paragraph. And I remember I came across a word as I was practicing before it was my turn. And I said, uh-oh, there's a word here that I don't know, and here we go. I am going to be embarrassed because they're going to laugh about me. And so I asked my friend Rosie right next to me, put the book in front of me, and I said, Rosie, what is this word? And Rosie was just trying to respond and telling me, I don't know it either. And so we were whispering, and when one of the students across told our teacher that we were talking, he was actually asleep, so he had no knowledge of what was going on. But the minute they told him, he was like, who's talking? Who's talking? Now you go to the ballroom. So the ballroom was not, I don't know why they called it a ballroom. I never saw balls there. It was more like a torturing room because we went there to get spanked. And I remember poor Rosie, I mean, just for trying to respond, she also received 5 paddlings. And you know, recording all those memories were very painful. And so this is when I started to understand the kind of treatment you know, that we were receiving. And yes, we've always said we did have a lot of Anglo teachers, but it wasn't, I also had good Anglo teachers. And I go back and I also think about good things that happened or that I experienced with Anglo teachers. So I cannot say that they were all mean, because they weren't. I would be lying if I say that every single Anglo teacher would treat us bad, because I would be guilty of that. Anyway, you know, the scars of everything that I experienced, the wounds have always remained, have never healed. They have never healed. And this is why I get emotional when I talk about this. And so through these wounds, you know, I took my wounds and I used them to catapult my desire to achieve a university degree in education. So I guess everything happens for a reason, because had not this happened, maybe I would never have gotten an education. My parents, I came from a very humble family. My parents would never have afforded to send me to school. When I started working with the Edcouch-Elsa Independent School District, I was freshly out of high school, 17 years old. I got a job as a teacher aide. And as I was working as a teacher aide, they offered us, they gave us the opportunity to go to Pan American, and the school provided, they paid for us so that we could pursue our education. I've always thanked the Independent School District. I've been a teacher, an assistant and a teacher for 46 years. I retired and came back. And so I thank God. I made it my mission to ensure that my home language and my customs would never be used against any children or any child for any reason to discriminate. And so I now have, like I said, I've been with the district and in a bilingual setting. And I'm also a director and instructor for the Ballet Folklorico. I've been doing this for 33 years. Now, this is our culture, students. Don't forget, we come from a beautiful, beautiful culture, and you guys are so lucky that you have teachers that love you. You have teachers that help you. I mean, they prepare you for school. You have teachers that are there for you. There's no reason and no excuse for you not to pursue your education and continue. And so today, our beautiful children, or the children that I've worked with and the program that I have worked with, are the pride and joy of Texas and are forever celebrated in my heart. And with this in mind, I will close. With this in mind, I can proudly say that I have accomplished my goal of keeping the legacy of my culture alive. Thank you so much.
No sé si son buenos días o buenas tardes. Todavía no almorzamos, pero quién sabe si ya se pasó el tiempo. Y sí es muy cierto, como han dicho todas ellas, es una cosa muy sentimental, es una cosa muy, que hubo mucha ignorancia, mucho esto, pero según esto quieren que les demos un consejo a nuestros nuevos estudiantes o nuestros hijos. Les voy a dar un consejo. Primero aprendan a respetar a su padre y a su madre y a sus maestros, que eso es lo que los va a llevar más arriba. Acuérdense que no hay homies, nomás mamá y papá. Y eso es todo lo que les tengo que decir. Buenas tardes, Dios los bendiga.
Thank you very much to the 4 walkout participants. There was at least one reference to La Jolla. And so, Mari, I think you mentioned La Jolla. Eddie, I'm not sure if you mentioned La Jolla, but the part of the story here is that a number of the students who were expelled from school, then because of some sort of negotiation out in the community, you remember the Mr. Sanchez, Bob Sanchez was here this morning, the lawyer. And so Amancio also tells the story that Amancio may have been involved with that. There were people who negotiated so that the students who were expelled from Edcouch-Elsa High School could actually go into La Jolla High School. And so there was a bus that somebody got that Eddie drove and other people drove, o algo así. But I'm sharing that story because that's part of the narrative here, but also because Dr. Leo is in the audience today. Filomena Leo. Dr. Leo, would you raise your hand? She's right there. So, Filomena Leo's father-in-law was Leo J. Leo, who helped to broker so that that would happen. So, Dr. Leo, thank you very much for joining us here. Thank you very much to the walkout participants.
If I may, while you're conversing over there, in reference to Leo J. Leo, all right? He was the mayor of La Jolla at the time. And know this, it started on the east side from Mercedes, trying to find a place for us. On down the line, Huetlaco, Donna, Alamo, San Juan, Far, and on down the line. As soon as it came down to going into La Jolla with open arms, Leo J. Leo, Edcouch-Elsa is welcome in this area. That is following law, like she said. Well, actually, Billy Leo, I'm sure some of you heard of him. Very influential in this community. And now we also have his daughter of Billy and Filomena, which is going to be the new county treasurer for Hidalgo County. And if you're there, Lita, congratulations.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to transition to the student panel now. So thank you very much for sharing your stories with us. So they're going to take your seats. Okay, Eddie González politiqueando aquí como siempre. Thank you very much,
yes.
politiqueando. All right. Okay, so we have 4 students from the high school who have volunteered to offer, some responses. And so there are some questions that they developed and that the group developed. So we're going to begin with Neida. So Neida, the question is for you and about putting yourself 50 years ago. So we could transport you to 50 years ago. Listening to these stories, Neida, knowing what happened, you were part of the students this morning who read the 15 demands. What do you think you would have done?
Honestly, I think it would have been very hard for me to walk out because I'm in charge of a lot of leadership positions in Edcouch-Elsa. And having to be stripped down of everything that I think I stand for, I think it would have been very hard, but I also would have been very hard to not stand up because a lot of those things are rights I believe we should have. So I think it took a lot of courage for the students that walked out 50 years ago to walk out, and I want to thank them for that, actually, because without them, I don't think I would have anything that I am today, and I would not be here today, actually. But I don't think I can say whether or not I would walk out for certain. Maybe today I would. If it was like today, I feel like I would have because of what they did. But 50 years ago, I'm not so sure I would have or I would have not.
So, Neida, when you say that maybe today you would, are you saying that because you feel a sense of inspiration from them?
Yes. questions, like I feel like that would have given me the courage to stand up today.
Thank you, Nathan. Adan, I'm going to go to you, all right? So just to keep you at the edge of your seat. So Adan just won the popularity contest this morning because he's very popular at the school apparently. Adan, I understand that your grandfather was a first-year teacher during that year, the walkout of 1968. Yes. Did you ever speak, or did he ever speak to you about the walkout? And yes, if he did, would you share that story, Adan? He's very eager also, popular and eager. Go ahead, Adan.
Yes, one of the stories was that in one of his classes, he had 35 students, and of those 35 students, all of them were migrants. And of those 35, 33 of them walked out. And then 3 weeks after the walkout, a federal judge ordered Edcouch-Elsa Independent School District to take all the students back into the district. And aside from that, the students got compensated and were given makeup work for the time they were out.
Adan, who's your grandfather?
Salvador Garza.
Salvador Garza is your grandfather?
Yes.
Is Mr. Garza in the crowd? He was at the morning session. Salvador Garza, your grandfather was my algebra teacher in high school many years ago. Wow. So who's your father?
My mom is his,
Okay.
Tina Garza.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Okay, so we're gonna move to how about you, Esmer? You want to take the next question? Okay, so Esmer, 50 years ago, the students of Edcouch-Elsa High School presented their school board a list of 15 demands. What demands were you most surprised to see on the list, and why?
Well, I was most surprised to see demand number 9, 8, and 12 because I was shocked in the fact that Edcouch-Elsa being a school that had so many Mexican American students, like in the school, I would expect that for the Mexican American culture to be more embraced and celebrated.
Ezra, do you feel that the Mexican American culture is embraced and celebrated in 2018 at Edcouch-Elsa?
Yes, I do.
You do? Give me one example.
Well, now we have a mariachi group. We're allowed to speak Spanish. We have Spanish classes offered to us.
So I'm hearing from you, Esmer, that you seem to be proud to be from Edcouch-Elsa. Okay. Thank you very much, Esmer. So Melissa, so you've been reviewing the walkout. You've been studying the walkout here in the last little bit. Would you say that the walkout, as you understand it, has impacted you, Melissa, your life? Has it impacted the school? Has it impacted the community, in your estimation?
Yes, I think that the walkout has not only impacted my life, but the community on our education. And I know I have been talking to Neda for the past few days and asking ourselves, will we have walked out? And I personally think I wouldn't have walked out because back then, people were raised with the idea that women are supposed to stay in the house, men are supposed to work, and if you question your elderly, you're being disrespectful. So back then, I don't think I would have walked out. But now, just like Neda, I think that I can walk out. And I want to thank you all because thank you to you all is that I feel that I have a voice and that I can speak it up, que me puedo comunicar en el idioma que yo quiera y eso está bien. And now, and not only do I want to thank you all, but I want to thank your parents. I know when I was listening to this story, like that really got to me because my parents support me a lot, your parents support you a lot, and that make you do what you did and have this change in the community. And also, my first language is Spanish. I came here in 3rd grade, and something that I think that no other community has other than Edcouch-Elsa is how we all come together. And you were an example of how all of you came together and stand up for what you believe, and I think that's still part of our community today, and you were a great example of it and continue to make us that.
Melissa, you are quite inspirational yourself, I have to say. Neida, you are quite inspirational yourself. Adan, tú también. And Esmer, you too. Before you exit the stage, is there anything else that you want to say? Any one of you?
I think I'm speaking for all of us. We just want to say thank you one more time. Also, thank you to our superintendent of schools for allowing this event to happen so we can learn more. We learn firsthand what it was, and that's going to continue being in our history, and we can pass it down. So thank you.
Thank you very much, students. Thank you very much. So, in closing here, I know Mr. Colasso is coming up here, but you know, to me, it almost seems like this walk out, this walk kind of image, because now you guys are like you're just walking on to college now. You're walking on to, you know, a good life that, you know, has been prepared in many ways by your parents, your grandparents, but also by people who, you know, who exercise some courage. And so, you know, I just want to reiterate what the student said, that, you know, as somebody who also came to this school and benefited immensely from the trailblazing efforts de ustedes, thank you very much. So thank you, students. You guys can walk out with me. Mr. Scott.
Ready to wrap it up? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you want to say anything else? Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, very quick, thank you, Dr. Guajardo. Want to thank Frank Guajardo for participating and actually coordinating this activity. Want to give him a big round of applause. Thank you. Students, as you can see, this was a very important event. You know, there's a lot of individuals that are impacted by what happened back in the late 60s, and I think you've kind of had a chance or an opportunity to hear not only some of the emotional events that the staff or that the people that are here with us went through, but you also had an opportunity to hopefully take away the idea that, you know, education is very important, and that these individuals here in your community, they take pride in Edcouch-Elsa ISD, the schools that are here, the educational program that's being provided, and it's only up to you now to take advantage of that, okay? I want to thank the staff that are here, the teachers. If y'all don't mind, we're going to be releasing students in just a couple of minutes. Students, y'all are going to be going back and participating and going back into your regular class, whatever you have, 5th period. I think this is 5th period right now. So you're going to be going back to your 5th period class, whatever you have, okay? Once again, guys, ladies and gentlemen, members from the class of '68, I want to thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it.